Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the DC Capstone Report, a podcast on Alabama football. Well, we're glad to have you back this week. Look forward to another wonderful podcast about the upcoming game against the Auburn Tigers. It's Iron Bowl week, everyone, so let's get ready for a great game and a great week to close out our season. But before we do that, in the first segment, we're going to review the past game against the Austin Peay Governors. In the second segment, we're going to take a look at the players of the game against Austin Peay. And in the third and final segment, we're going to preview the upcoming game against the Auburn Tigers.
You're listening to the DC Capstone Report. The DC Capstone Report is featured each Tuesday morning on the Martin Houston Show at Tide 100.9. You can listen live at Tide100.9.com.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the DC Capstone Report. Lance and I appreciate you listening in each and every week. This is our final podcast for the regular season. It's our last game of the year against the Auburn Tigers, so this will be our final podcast of the regular season. We will have a bowl game podcast to wrap up the season later on in the year once we find out where we're headed to. But just want to tell you that Lance and I have really enjoyed this year doing this podcast. And one of the things I think that we've upped this year is our football content for our home games. Lance has got some great pictures and videos up on the sites already. So check out RollTideBama.com, FreelancePictures.com for some great pictures of your $1 Million Band members, your Crimsonettes, your cheerleaders, and the football team there, all for you to go and download at your pleasure there at RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com. Lance does a great job. So here in the first segment, we'll take a look at the review of the Austin Peay game. Well, it's one of those games where you play and you playing against a team we've never played before, a FCS opponent, and you expect Alabama to dominate, and that's exactly what Alabama did in this game. Austin Peay had a record of 7-3, so they were really good, have a chance to make the playoffs in the FCS level, but really didn't have the personnel to play with Alabama in this game. And I think Alabama's game plan in this limited our scoring. So we won the game 34-0. We didn't allow a touchdown. We shut out the opponent. So we did a really good job on defense, and we did a really good job on offense within our game plan. And our game plan in this game obviously was to run the ball. We amassed total in this game over 500 yards of total offense in this game. We did a really good job on third down efficiency. I think we had a good third down efficiency, and on fourth down, we were 3 for 3 on fourth down. But we had 527 total yards, 263 rushing yards, 264 passing yards. So couldn't have been more balanced. But really believe our game plan was to take the air out of the ball, run the ball, not to give them a chance to play up tempo they like to. They run the offense much like Tennessee. And they spread the field, try to run the ball, and try to catch you in passing down, running the ball, and catch you in running down, throwing the ball. So we did a really good job of stopping them, I thought. Did a good job of playing within ourselves and took what they gave us. They were trying to make us pass short intermediate passes and stop the run, but we were able to gash them on several plays. Jason McClellan did a great job running the ball and picked up a lot of yardage. And passing game, had a couple of touchdowns in the passing game to Jermaine Burton, who did a good job as well. On defense, what can you say? We really limited them in what they did on defense. They had 12 first downs for the game. They were 3 of 13 on third downs. So we got off the field on third downs. We limited our mistakes in this game, and they were 0 for 2 on fourth down. We held them to 206 total yards, 147 passing yards, and they only gained 59 yards on the ground. Now, that's not because they didn't try. They rushed the ball 25 times for a 2.4 average. So really did a good job on defense making tackles in this game, keeping the ball in front of us. And I just thought overall it was a really good win for Alabama to come off the last game against Ole Miss, to get back to our winning ways. And although it was an FCS opponent, Alabama really practiced all week like the opponent was just up to the Bama standard. So I was really glad the opponent didn't matter. So really glad to see that in this game. So Alabama comes away with a victory a big victory over the Austin Peay Governors, 34-0. Well, in the second segment, we're going to take a look at our players of the game. Well, first of all, on offense, our player of the game on offense is Jace McClellan. Jace McClellan had a really good game. He started this game. Jameer Gibbs was out with what's being called a twisted ankle. Not sure if he's going to be able to return this year, but he was out with a twisted ankle, and so Jace McClellan got the start. He carried the ball 17 times for 156 yards, scored 2 touchdowns, and had a 9.2 yard average per carry. So Jace McClellan just continued on to run the ball and did a very good job. I think our blocking was better in this game. We blocked well for the run plays. We had some dedicated run plays, and it was easy to see. It was easy to see how they were going to play this game and continue that run. So was so excited that we got to run the ball and see how the run did well. Jace McClellan is one of my offensive players of the game. The other offensive player of the game on offense, we had a wide receiver that finally stepped up in this game, and that's Jermaine Burton. He had 7 receptions for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. So overall, I thought he upped his play in this game. Did a very good job of getting open, catching the ball, running his route, never giving up on plays, and did a good job of getting the end zone a couple of times. So on offense, my 2 players of the game are Jace McClellan and Jermaine Burton. On defense, Alabama played a solid game, but I think 2 of the best players on this team was the tacklers that did a good job of tackling and covering the short passing routes. And so my first defensive player of the game was Brian Branch. He had 8 total tackles, 6 solo tackles, and 2 assists. He had 1 tackle for loss, so did a really good job. Hard hitter, was able to cover the intermediate routes, was able to help on runs, and just did an excellent job of run support and stopping the plays, the short plays, the screen plays, the wide receiver screens, tackle for loss. Just did a great job. So I think Brian Branch had one of his best games. Then the other defensive player of the game is Henry To'oTo'o. Henry To'oTo'o has played a good game all year. Really did a good job at the middle linebacker position in this game of keeping that quarterback in the pocket, spying him at times. He had 8 total tackles, 4 solo, and 4 assists. Did a really good job. So my defensive player of the game is Brian Branch and Henry To'oTo'o. So just to review, our offensive player of the game, Jace McClellan and Jermaine Burton. And on defense, Brian Branch and Henry To'oTo'o. Well, here we go in the third and final segment to get to preview the Iron Bowl against the arch rival across the state of the Auburn Tigers. Auburn's coming off a victory over Western Kentucky. Brings them to 5-6, so they have something to play for in this Iron Bowl. Not just playing for pride to help Carnell Williams along. He's done a really good job of coming in there and getting the team on his side and making them play with passion. But they have a chance to actually play to get to 6 wins or to get bowl eligible. So they have something to come into Bryant-Denny Stadium to play for. And a lot of folks says that Alabama doesn't have anything to play for because they're not in the national championship chase any longer. But Alabama's got a lot of pride on the line. They don't want to lose a game against their arch rival in the state, in Auburn, in Bryant-Denny Stadium, having Auburn come in and do that. They want to be able to dominate. So in order to do that, they're going to have to play with a lot of resiliency in this game. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be close for a while. So what will Alabama have to do when they're on offense? Well, I think we're going to have to establish the run. I look for Jace McClellan to get the start again. I don't believe Jameer Gibbs will be available. From what I'm hearing about Jameer Gibbs, he has a twisted ankle. I think he and his people are concerned about his NFL prospects after this, and they don't want to risk an injury. So I look for Jace McClellan to get the start and play the majority of reps in this game. So he's had 2 games under his belt that he's done a really good job on. I look for him to get a lot of carries against this Auburn defense. And uncharacteristically, this Auburn defense has given up a lot of runs. They're giving up an average of 178 yards a game in the lower tier of the SEC this year. So I think there's an opportunity for us to make some headway there if we commit to the run, call run blocking plays, and run the ball effectively like we did in the last 2 games. I think that we can really commit to that run. What that will do, I believe, is bring a little help up from the safeties to run the ball. get back to that Alabama standard of running the ball to set up the pass. You know, when Steve Sarkisian was our coach on offense, the most recent offensive coordinator, and also when Lane Kiffin was our coach, we ran the ball effectively, even on run-pass options, to set up the pass at a later time. I don't think we've done a good job of that in the last 2 years. So look for us to get back to doing that in this game against Auburn, running the ball to set up the pass. I think when we do pass the ball, our receivers are going to have to get open. Bryce Young's going to have to make some plays with his legs to get out of the pocket. I think Auburn still does have a good pass rush. We're going to have to block really well and keep our quarterback a clean pocket for him to be able to get some openings downfield. Their pass defense is not as good as it has been in years past, so I believe we can take some shots against this Auburn secondary, and our wide receivers can get open against them. So I look for another run balance and offensive with our passing offense. Wouldn't be surprised to have us rack up over 400 yards and have a balanced rushing attack and passing attack in this game. So I think we can really take advantage of some of the things that Auburn will give us. If we do that, I think we're going to come out ahead. I do think we got to limit our turnovers in this game. We got to make sure we win the turnover ratio. We can't let Auburn get in the game by getting cheap points off turnovers. So we really got to limit those and limit our mistakes in this game, our penalties. If we can do that on offense, then I think we'll come out looking really good. What do we need to do on defense? Well, I think Auburn's going to lean on the run as well. They're going to try to lean on the run. We're going to have to commit to stop the run. So whatever that means in putting enough players close to the line of scrimmage to commit to stop the run and make Auburn throw the ball. And when they do throw the ball, we're going to have to pressure the quarterback, but not lose containment. You know, Robbie Ashford is their quarterback, and he can really extend some plays with his legs. So I look for him to try to make plays in this game. So what happens is we need to keep him in the pocket, make sure that we can keep him in the pocket and don't let him beat us by extending plays with his legs. So if we can stop the run, keep him in the pocket, put him in obvious passing downs and rush the quarterback, put some pressure on him, but also keep him in the pocket and contain him, I think we can get some turnovers in the defensive backfield. I really believe our defensive backs have been coming on a little bit stronger lately. I think Crelay McKinstry's been having good games. Brian Branch been having some good games. So is our safeties, DeMarco Hellens and Jordan Battle. Now the question will be, is Terrion Arnold going to start, or is it going to be Eli Ricks? You know, Eli Ricks is coming off a concussion protocol, which I think he's out of concussion protocol now. So I would like to see him start in this game and really pressure those corners. Might get us a turnover early in this game if we get a chance to do that. So I believe on defense, make sure that we pressure the quarterback and take advantage of him being hurried to make some turnovers on the defensive backfield. And if we do that, I think we have an opportunity to get this game under control late in the first half, early the second half. So I believe it stays close early. Alabama comes out, establishes ourselves as a run team first, and then set ourselves up for passing, and we have a balanced attack. And Alabama comes away with a big victory in Bryant-Denny Stadium over our arch rival, the Auburn Tigers. And I predict the score is going to be Alabama 38, Auburn 17. Well, that's it for another edition of the DC Capstone Report, our final edition of the regular season. It's been great being with all of you this year. We thank you for listening in past weeks and look forward to what we do in the future. But let me remind you again, this is our last home game, so Lance will be there with some great shots. If you want some pictures of your members of the band or your cheerleaders or your players, your senior day, whatever you want to get, you can download them after the game on Lance's sites, freelancepictures.com and rolltidebama.com. Well, until next time, this is DC with the DC Capstone Report saying roll tide and have a great week.